From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
2005 was a pivotal year in my presidency. My second term had just begun, and I had laid out bold priorities in my inaugural and State of the Union addresses. I spoke of spreading freedom and democracy, not just at home but abroad, and I meant every word. I called it the fire of liberty. Something I believed all people deserved, no matter where they lived. Domestically, we faced serious trials. The most defining of those was Hurricane Katrina. The storm made landfall in late August and devastated New Orleans and much of the Gulf Coast. It exposed critical weaknesses in federal, state, and local response systems. And I accepted responsibility for the shortcomings in the federal government's response. The images of Americans stranded in their own country will never leave me. I visited the region multiple times, pledged federal support, and ultimately signed off on billions in recovery funding. But I know we could have done better. The war in Iraq remained at the forefront of my presidency. The Iraqi people voted in historic parliamentary elections in December, showing remarkable courage. I continued to argue that spreading democracy was essential to defeating terror, but public support was shifting. The cost, in both lives and money, was becoming clearer to the American people. Still, I believed staying the course was the best path forward to ensure long-term stability. In Washington, I nominated John Roberts to be Chief Justice of the United States after the death of William Rehnquist. Later that year, Harriet Miers was nominated to the Supreme Court, but withdrew amid bipartisan concerns. I then nominated Samuel Alito, who would eventually be confirmed in 2006. These nominations were about more than politics. They were about shaping the judicial philosophy of the court for a generation. Executive Order 13,369 President's Advisory Panel on Federal Tax Reform on January 7, 2005. Executive Order 13,370. Providing an order of succession in the Office of Management and Budget on January 13, 2005. Executive Order 13,371 amendments to Executive Order 13,285. Relating to the President's Council on Service and Civic Participation on January 27, 2005. Executive Order 13,372. Clarification of certain executive orders. Blocking property and prohibiting. Certain transactions on February 16, 2005. Executive Order 13,373 amendments to Executive Order 11,926. Relating to the Vice Presidential Service Badge on March 10, 2005. Executive Order 13,374 amendments to Executive Order 122,993. The Foreign Service of the United States on March 14, 2005. Executive Order 13,375. Amendment to Executive Order 13,295 relating to certain influenza viruses and quarantinable communicable diseases on April 1st, 2005. Executive Order 13,376 amendments to Executive Order 12863, relating to the President's Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board on April 13th, 2005. Executive Order 13,377, designating the African Union as a public international organization entitled to enjoy certain privileges, exemptions, and immunities on April 13, 2005. Executive Order 13,378 amendments to Executive Order 12,788, relating to the Defense Economic Adjustment Program on May 12, 2005. Executive Order 13,379, Amendment to Executive Order 13,369, relating to the President's Advisory Panel on Federal Tax Reform on June 16, 2005. Executive Order 13,380, Implementing Amendments to Agreement on Border on June 17, 2005. Executive Order 13,381, Strengthening Processes relating to determining eligibility for access to classified national security information on June 27, 2005. Executive Order 13,382, Blocking Property of Weapons of Mass Destruction, Proliferators and Their Supporters on June 28, 2005. Executive Order 13,383, amending Executive Orders 12139 and 12949 in light of establishment of the Office of Director of National Intelligence on July 15, 2005. Executive Order 13,384, Assignment of Functions relating to original appointments as commissioned officers and chief warrant officer appointments in the Armed Forces on July 27, 2005. Executive Order 13,385, continuance of certain federal advisory committees and amendments to and revocation of other executive orders on September 29, 2005. Executive Order 13,386, further amendment to Executive Order 13,369, relating to the President's Advisory Panel on Federal Tax Reform on September 30, 2005. Executive Order 13,387, 2005 amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, United States, on October 14, 2005. Executive Order 13,388, further strengthening the sharing of terrorism. Information to Protect Americans on October 25, 2005. Executive Order 13,389, creation of the Gulf Coast Recovery and Rebuilding Council on November 1, 2005. Executive Order 13,390, establishment of a coordinator of federal support for the recovery and rebuilding of the Gulf Coast region on November 1, 2005. Executive Order 13,391, blocking property of additional persons undermining democratic processes or institutions in Zimbabwe on November 22, 2005. Executive Order 13,392, improving agency disclosure of information on December 14, 2005. Executive Order 13,393, adjustments of certain rates of pay on December 22, 2005. Executive Order 13,394, providing an order of succession within the Department of Defense on December 22, 2005.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search DaBomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
2005.
You know, when you look back at the year 2005 under President George W. Bush, it was a time of enormous challenges, some expected, others catastrophic. And the executive orders issued that year reflected the mounting pressure on the federal government to respond swiftly, decisively, and with clarity of purpose. The most unforgettable moment of 2005 for most Americans was Hurricane Katrina. It wasn't just a storm, it was a national trauma. Lives lost, communities destroyed, systems overwhelmed. And truth be told, that disaster revealed more than the flaws in our levees. It revealed the cracks in our institutions. In response, President Bush issued executive orders 13,389 and 13,390, establishing the Gulf Coast Recovery and Rebuilding Council and appointing a coordinator of federal support. These actions were a recognition that the federal government had to coordinate better, act faster, and put boots on the ground where people were hurting. Now, were those executive orders enough? Not quite. The recovery was slow, accountability was in short supply, but they did mark an attempt to course correct in real time. Those orders helped build the federal scaffolding for long-term support, but the execution was as critical as the ink on the paper. Then there was Executive Order 13,388, aimed at strengthening terrorism information sharing. In a post-9/11 world, Bush's administration knew that siloed intelligence was a national security risk. This EO sought to break those silos, improve cooperation between federal agencies, and help Americans stay safe. It built upon earlier orders, adjusted the framework, and pointed toward the kind of interagency communication we now take for granted. That was a step in the right direction, no doubt. But not all actions were unifying. Executive Order 13,391 expanded sanctions on individuals in Zimbabwe, a move reflecting Bush's foreign policy stance that human rights abuses and the breakdown of democracy must carry consequences. It was a message to the world, but one that came during a time when our own international credibility was being tested in Iraq. And I want to speak briefly about Executive Order 13,393, adjusting pay rates, and Executive Order 13,394, which restructured the order of succession at the Department of Defense. These are the kind of orders that often fly under the radar, but they matter. They ensure continuity, they support federal workers, and they prepare the nation for uncertainty, whether from natural disasters, wars, or political instability. Let's not forget Executive Orders 13381 through 13384, many of which dealt with national security, military appointments, and the spread of weapons of mass destruction. 2005 was not just about reacting, it was about securing the homeland, tightening the grip on intelligence frameworks, and signaling to allies and enemies alike that America would maintain its defense posture. Now look, I didn't agree with all of President Bush's approaches. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Policy is about people, and too often, policies that look clean on paper fall short when they reach the communities they're meant to serve. But even with our differences, I'll tell you this. These executive orders from 2005 show a presidency attempting to steer through a storm, literally and metaphorically. They reveal a moment in time when the nation was wrestling with war, disaster, and an evolving threat landscape. They reflect a command structure trying to assert control and repair faith in government. And now it's time to go deeper. Let's take a closer look at the top 10 executive orders of 2005, what they really meant, what they got right, and where they fell short. Because that's where the truth lives, in the details. Stay with me. Let's dive in. So now that we've looked at the year 2004, its politics, its principles, and its pressures, let's take a closer look at the legacy of its executive orders. Because these weren't just words on paper. They were directives that helped shape the world, protect our homeland, and sometimes widen the reach of unchecked power. How they affected 2004 NCTC gave us new eyes in the war on terror, fusing intelligence across agencies, and building the foundation for how we track threats to this day. The push for health IT changed doctor visits, patient records, and how hospitals operate, especially important as we move toward the modern digital age. Orders about disabled Americans in disaster zones, veteran entrepreneurship, and even ocean policy all signaled a White House trying to look at more than just the battlefield. But others, like the shielding of Iraq's oil revenues, left room for exploitation, while executive power grew more insulated behind the banner of national security. How they still affect us. Today, data privacy concerns we wrestle with now began in 2004, when surveillance and integration were prioritized over transparency. Electronic health records, standard in today's clinics, were born from that year's digital leap. The national security structure, including the NCTC, still drives intelligence sharing practices. Climate and marine policies, though revised, trace roots back to Bush's 2004 environmental orders. And beyond the policy came the precedent, because every executive order signed becomes a tool that future presidents can expand, reframe, or abuse. Major events that rocked the world in 2004, Indian Ocean tsunami, December 26th, over 230,000 lives lost across 14 countries, one of the deadliest disasters in human history. Madrid train bombings, March 11th, a brutal attack killing 193 people, shaking Europe's sense of security. Ukraine's Orange Revolution. Citizens took to the streets demanding democracy after rigged elections. United States major. Moments Facebook launched from a Harvard dorm, forever changing communication, privacy, and politics. Same-sex marriage legalized in Massachusetts, the first U.S. state to do so. Ronald Reagan passed away, prompting a national reflection on conservatism and Cold War victory. The 2004 election, which saw Bush re-elected, was a referendum on war, security, and leadership. In 2004, President Bush governed with certainty. Some praised that, some feared it, but none of us can deny it left a mark. These executive orders tell that story. They reveal the blueprint of how a White House in wartime and re-election mode moves fast, reaches far, and often doesn't look back. And now, it's time to dig into the top 10 executive orders of 2004, the ones that mattered most then and still matter now. Here's a detailed top 10 executive orders of 2005 issued by President George W. Bush. Each one includes context, significance during 2005, and long-term effects still felt today. Top 10 executive orders of 2005. Evaluated number 1, EO 13388, further strengthening the sharing of terrorism information to protect Americans. Signed October 25, 2005. Context. This EO built on post-9/11 intelligence reforms. It created a formal structure for information sharing among federal, state, local, and tribal authorities. Impact in 2005. It answered criticisms that agencies like the FBI and CIA weren't sharing data fast enough. It emphasized real-time sharing and threat integration. Lasting effect, Executive Order 13,388 laid groundwork for today's fusion centers, Department of Homeland Security intelligence offices, and multi-agency coordination models. It's still cited in debates over privacy versus security. Number 2, EO 13385, continuance of certain federal advisory committees, signed September 29, 2005. Context. This EO renewed the operation of several advisory boards focusing on education, minority affairs, physical fitness, and homeland security. Impact in 2005. It kept in motion institutional feedback loops important during wartime policy shifts. Lasting effect. Many of these committees would later contribute to Obama-era and Trump-era transitions, proving the staying power of infrastructure decisions made during Bush's second term. Number 3, EO 13382, blocking property of weapons of mass destruction, proliferators, and their supporters. Signed June 28, 2005. Context. Issued to disrupt financial networks aiding nuclear proliferation, especially concerning Iran and North Korea. Impact in 2005. It designated numerous foreign entities and froze their assets. A strong diplomatic and financial message. Lasting effect, still in use, many sanctions against Russia, Iran, and DPRK today trace back to this EO's language and legal precedent. Number 4. Executive Order 13369. Amendments to Executive Order 13226. President's Council on Service and Civic Participation. Signed January 27, 2005. Context. This expanded Bush's USA Freedom Corps efforts by supporting volunteerism. Impact in 2005. It gave fresh visibility to service-based citizenship following the re-election. Lasting effect. The framework inspired AmeriCorps and other national service programs to adopt more digital, decentralized models. Number 5, EO 13392, Improving Agency Disclosure of Information. Signed December 14, 2005. Context. Aimed at overhauling how federal agencies handled Freedom of Information Act FOIA requests. Impact in 2005. Required agencies to appoint chief FOIA officers and publish plans to improve transparency. Lasting effect, paved the way for Obama's open government push in 2009 and influenced the 2016 FOIA Improvement Act. Number 6, EO 13390, establishing the President's Advisory Panel on Federal Tax Reform, signed April 13, 2005. Context, created a panel to recommend changes to simplify the tax code and promote growth. Impact in 2005 led to bipartisan proposals like eliminating the alternative minimum tax, AMT. Lasting effect, though many ideas weren't implemented, the EO seeded the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act under Trump. Number 7, EO 13386, Amendment to EO 13369. USA Freedom Corps, signed September 30th, 2005. Context furthered the previous expansion, aligning national service with homeland security efforts. Impact in 2005. Recast the concept of civic duty in a post-9/11 landscape. Lasting effect, helped redefine volunteerism not just as charity but as national preparedness, echoed in later FEMA programs. Number 8, EO 13395, designating the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, signed December 22, 2005. Context, recognized this international group as eligible to receive U.S. support under the Foreign Assistance Act. Impact in 2005, amplified Bush's PEPFAR program, a historic foreign aid achievement. Lasting effect, the U.S. remains the largest donor to the Global Fund, a global health legacy still praised. Number 9, EO 13391, blocking property of additional persons, undermining democratic processes or institutions in Belarus. Signed June 17, 2005. Context, aimed at curbing repression under President Alexander Lukashenko's regime. Impact in 2005. Targeted financial networks and increased diplomatic pressure. Lasting effect, language and strategy resurfaced in sanctions during Belarus's 2020 protest crackdown. Number 10, EO 13396, designating the African Union as a public international organization, signed February 17, 2005. Context, legally enabled U.S. assistance to AU peacekeeping and development missions. Impact in 2005, enhanced diplomatic relations with African regional leadership. Lasting effect, strengthened the foundation for AFRICOM and U.S. counterterrorism efforts across the continent.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it, they order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering, from the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.